Welcome to the Art of Authority podcast, bringing you interviews and episodes to help you radically optimize your authority and influence to become the go-to expert in your field. Here's your host, Authority Positioning Coach, Mike Saunders.
Hey guys, Mike Saunders here, the Authority Positioning Coach with another segment of the Art of Authority. Welcome to this segment where we're going to talk about servant leadership in your authority positioning business development plan. Now, you might think servant leadership is more geared toward an executive or someone that leads a large team of people that needs to lead them, right? That's typically what we think of the term leadership. And what I want to present to you today is a couple ways just to shift your thinking just a little bit in being that leader, being that person of character that people want to follow, whether it is a team you're leading or whether it is a client or whether it is someone in your target audience you're trying to connect with to potentially do business with. So here's something to think about. When we think about authority positioning and expertise and prestige and status, the ways we need to present our products or services to our target audience, right? All of a sudden you start thinking about, I need to be perfect. Well, that's something you don't need to worry about. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to know it all. In fact, sometimes authenticity and transparency is so critical, as we know. And when you can say to someone that asks you a question about an element or an aspect of your business and say, you know what, that's a good point. It's never come up before. Let me research that and get back to you. Do you realize that that is something that is very important because people realize that you're going to go out and do some extra research? Secondly, can you imagine what the next step is going to be that I'm going to say? You better do it. You better follow up because you need to be a man or a woman of your word. And that goes back to servant leadership as well, because don't we all want to serve our clients and prospects? And in fact, in part of the customer journey, the experience they have with us, they will never tend to have an experience with us unless they have a good experience before they partake of our services. And what I mean by that is if your website is not up to snuff, if your branding and your messaging is not pristine and giving off the air of being that trustworthy advisor, they're never going to do business with you to see if you're going to keep your word. But in that case I just mentioned, where they asked a question or brought up a concern and you said, you know, let me get back to you on that. When would be a good time? Can I send you an email? Can I connect with you by phone? You had better do that because you become someone that is making a promise and you have to keep that. And so that ties into servant leadership because you want to be that person, that leader, even if it is self-leadership, even if you're leading yourself, even if you yourself need to be convinced that you are a trustworthy person, right? I mean, it kind of sounds weird to say that, but when you say, tomorrow I'm going to make 10 sales calls. Or tomorrow I'm going to follow up with my clients to see how much more we can do for them in that project we're working on. And you put it on your calendar. What if you don't do it? It becomes easier and easier and easier to not do it the next time. Am I right? So one thing we have to do is if you looked at your calendar and you saw that you had a sales presentation scheduled for tomorrow at 9 a.m., are you just going to miss it and not tell that person? Of course not. You're going to make that presentation. You're going to prepare for it. You're going to practice. You're going to study up. You're going to learn a little bit about that prospect or that person, that company, the needs that they've even expressed up to that point before the meeting. And you're going to be prepared. You're going to prepare yourself mentally, physically. You're going to get enough sleep. You're going to dress right. And now all of a sudden you are going to have that successful sales appointment. But there are some things that we put on our calendars and we don't fulfill them. And that becomes a character flaw that we in ourselves notice. And I would like to encourage you to be that servant leader to your tribe, your followers, your prospects, whatever you want to think of, your clients, everyone you come in contact with, your sphere of influence. That covers it all, right? And so now all of a sudden you've got all these people that are watching you. And they're not literally watching for you to stumble or fall. But if you do and you don't keep your word or something in your presentation isn't exactly what they were expecting, or they ask a question, you skirt around it and answer it in a different way, they pick up on that. And I think you pick up on that in your own self when you set an appointment with yourself, your goals, like maybe even your mini goals for the week. I'm not talking about New Year's resolutions. Those are things that you need to chunk down. And here's my annual goal, and here's my quarterly goal. And to meet that quarterly goal, I need to meet the monthly goal. And to meet the monthly goal, I need to hit my weekly and daily goals. If you don't meet those, and if you don't catch up, if you do miss one or two here or there, then you need to make sure that you are getting in the right mindset to be a self-leader for your own character development, because you need to be confident in yourself that you are bringing that message to market and you can deliver that from your clients, because you would not want your clients to do that to you. If there was a deliverable that you needed, you would make sure that your clients were delivering on that. So I think that's a really powerful concept here with servant leadership. Another aspect that I want to bring to your attention is when you think about being that knowledge base, that trusted advisor, expert, authority, however you want to think of it as, right? It's really just knowing your business so well and explaining it so clearly in an educational way, and then getting out there and developing some of those authority positioning assets that we've been talking about, like mentions in the media or interviews that you're doing, or being on a interview show, podcast, or a radio show, or maybe writing a book, or whatever those assets may be. There's a lot of different ways that you can display your expertise. But I want to bring this to your attention, and it really gets down to your heart attitude, and it goes down to servant leadership. Well, if you are a servant, then you are not cocky, haughty. You're not looking down on someone. You are a servant. You want to make them look good. And I think that is something that we need to keep in mind. And we can really get caught up in the trap of looking back at the last few things we've done in our business or our personal life and really kind of feeling like, yeah, I'm making it. Look at that thing that I did, and look at that testimonial I received, and look at that accolade that I received. And you need to keep that mindset in the forefront of your mind, that while we do want to develop our expertise so that people can know us, like us, and trust us, and then you can do a good job for them when you deliver your product or service, you want to make sure that it's coming off with a genuine heart attitude of serving and giving and delivering value, and not something where you are coming off as a condescending. And I know that's not what you're intending. If that, I'm not saying that you personally are doing that, because I don't know who you are watching right now. You might be someone that is checking all the boxes and saying, I do that. I've got that servant leadership down. But if you don't, because I know I don't, I know that I can have times where I notice, man, I should have said that a little bit differently, or I should have approached that a little bit differently. And if we can always watch and kind of have that little radar on to make sure, even before, during, or after we're having interactions, could we have done that a little bit better? Or better yet, when you're going into an interaction with someone, online, email, social, video chat, or in person, to make sure, let's just approach this. Let's just see if what I'm going to present to them would be of the best value for them. And many times it's just, being very confident, of course, but many times it's just saying, hey, look, we're going to talk here real quick, and I'm not going to ask for your credit card number. I'm not going to ask for a contract, but I just want to investigate a little bit and just see what you're looking for, and just see what I have to offer, if that could be a benefit to you and your firm. Whatever it is, you could sell widgets, right? It doesn't matter, a product or a service. But many times, if they are seeing that you really are investigating and learning and asking questions, and that's such a big thing, we just feel so compelled to tell. And the problem with that is we might be telling one direction that we think that they need, and they might be coming at it from a whole different direction. So clarify and ask these questions, and you're going to come off as that servant leader. And sometimes it's just leading the conversation. Sometimes it's just leading the interaction. So again, don't feel like, I know for me, you read books on leadership, and it tends to be for large corporations and leading a sales team and leading a, corporate group of vice presidents. But in reality, you could be a solopreneur. You could be a coach, an entrepreneur, a consultant with you, yourself, and a outsourcer. Or you could have a small team, 5 or 6 people. When you can lead yourself with developing and refining your character, and I'm speaking to me now, I need to turn the camera to me, when I can do that and I can be the person that people want to follow and take advice from, then everyone wins. Because when you do present your ideas and your strategies for implementation, they're going to come off with the right attitude, and it's not going to be something where you're just ticking off some boxes and you deliver a service and you move on. It's going to be something where you want to have that be the starting point, the launching point for a long-term relationship. So I just wanted to encourage you with that today, with that servant leadership. And until next time, remember, building your authority is your number one priority. Make it a great day.
You've been listening to the Art of Authority podcast. Are you interested in building your authority positioning as the number one strategy to grow your business, brand, and influence? Book your authority audit today. This 7-point audit of your current authority position will uncover opportunities and show you how to be seen as a leading expert and authority your industry looks to for advice. Visit www.authoritypositioningcoach.com.